You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by Twin Spires.
And obviously in front by a length, El Commodore trying to cling to him second, then Silentio. Hebe, Fire and Ice running a big one. Here's the grey. Hebe, Fire and Ice coming after them. Homeward bound and obviously fully stretched today, leads it just over a length. Hebe, Fire and Ice, Silentio coming home gamely on the outside. Obviously he's holding on. Hebe, Fire and Ice and Silentio chase. Obviously digs deep. Obviously had a call on all his class today, but he got there. Hebe, Fire and Ice second, Silentio third, then El Commodore and Tigger.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by Twin Spires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you right up until 11 a.m. Eastern. That was Trevor Denman with the call of obviously winning his second consecutive running of the Del Mar Mile. That happened in 2013. He is one of just 3 horses ever to win the race twice, and that also capped off a trifecta for jockey Joe Talamo, his 3rd consecutive win in the Del Mar Mile. He's won 2,343 races in his career. 364 of those victories have come where the turf meets the surf at Old Del Mar. So it's a special place for him. You'll get a chance to catch Joe on FanDuel TV this weekend. He does a fantastic job as an analyst with that organization, and I know he's pumped up to be back on the air at Del Mar yet again. Joe, good morning, my friend.
Mike, I appreciate you having me. And that race call brings back some memories. But obviously, he's definitely one of my all-time favorites that I got a good shot to ride.
Yeah, he's a special horse, and Del Mar is a very special place for a lot of reasons, especially for you, Joe.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I pretty much started out my career here when I came to California in 2007 with the bug, and then actually Del Mar was the first meet that I rode when I lost my bug, and I ended up, I think I was second in the standings to Michael Bays back then. But, yeah, I've been very fortunate. Got some really good opportunities over the years here, and I didn't know I won that many races here. I never would have thought that.
Yeah, it was a big part of your story and your success. And I remember, and Joe, I've told this story before when you've joined me here on the program, but I think it's worth retelling. I remember when we were just getting started with the network. We launched in 2003, 2007. Nobody knew who we were. We made a trip to New Orleans for the Louisiana Derby, and we were going to broadcast that race from the fairgrounds. And I remember you walking out and doing an interview with us on this very same show all those years ago. And if I'm not,
I remember that.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I think that was one of your first interviews you had ever done.
I think so. Yeah, that was God, the good old days. 2007, man, that brings back memories. Crazy how time flies.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool to think about where you were then, top apprentice, and then where your career has taken you. And now, you're doing some things on the TV side, and as I mentioned, I think you do a fantastic job there.
Well, no, I really appreciate that. And like we talked before, I'm still a 10-pound apprentice doing the on-air stuff, but I've just really enjoyed it a lot. Kind of the journey of, learning something new. All the colleagues I work with are really good, have taught me so much. And, just trying to learn each day. And like I said, it's just really a lot of fun just bringing insight, whether it's wrong or right, just kind of my opinion from, when I rode, different aspects of the game, just try and make it enjoyable for all the viewers.
One of the things I really enjoy about watching you on FanDuel TV is the insight you bring, because you played the game. You can talk about it from a different perspective than even I can. The next horse I ride is going to be my first, and I love that part of it. What's been the biggest challenge for you as you make that transition?
Definitely there's a lot of work that goes into it, and I mean I feel like that's what helped me more than anything as a rider. Not only the physicality of it, but just studying the form day in and day out, watching replays. But, when I do analyst for FanDuel TV, it's so different because, if you ride, you might only ride, 2, 3, 4 races a day. So you're really just concentrated on those races. And if you're a speed horse, you pretty much know you're going to go to the lead. You're not worried about everyone else in the race. Whereas now you have to know pretty much every single horse, their aspects of it. And that, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but that's kind of, it's been the fun part for me, is really digging into all of the different aspects of all the horses, especially first-time starters. When I rode, I could care less, if the mare had 3 siblings that all won first time out. But now, for viewers, they would like to know that. So, it's been fun, the knowledge I've gained, just doing so much more in-depth homework, and yeah, it's definitely made me a lot better handicapper. I feel like if I do go back to riding, it would be a big advantage me doing the on-air for FanDuel, just learning so much more.
Do you think we might see Joe Talamo in the saddle again?
Oh, it's a good question, Mike. Never say never. I wouldn't say this month or anytime too soon, but yeah, I'm just really having a good time with FanDuel. They've given me a real good opportunity. I'm really enjoying myself traveling a lot this whole winter. I was in, Gulfstream, New Orleans, Oaklawn, and it's been fun. And I really like sleeping in till 6 or 7 and not 4:30 a.m. every morning. But no, I do miss riding. I miss the competition. But at the same time, I really have enjoyed working for FanDuel. So, like I said, never say never. We'll see. But so far, I'm just going to stick with this for a while.
What led to your decision to stop riding?
I really just want to take a little time off, kind of burn on. I mean, I've been riding 18 years, but even before that, I mean, but just riding horses since I was, 12 or 13. Just everything was all about being a jockey, and those 7 days a week, 4 a.m. every morning, 16, 18-hour days. I mean, eventually it does catch up to you. And I think what helped in my decision, too, a lot of jockeys, I say a lot of few, like Kyle Frey and Drayden Van Dyke, I saw they took, a couple months off, freshened up, and came back. And I feel like that's kind of a thing. I would recommend more guys do that because, like I said, it's other than any other sport, we have absolutely no downtime at all unless you get injured, really. Like, I don't think I've ever had a planned vacation in the 18 years that I rode besides, coming down to Delmore and stuff like that. So really, and it was last October, I'm just like, you know what, I just want to take 2-3 months off, kind of freshen up. And fortunately, I was, able to do that. And then this opportunity with FanDuel came available. I think it was like late December, early January, and I really just thought I would do it for a couple, 2-3 months, see how it worked out. But like I said, I've just kind of fallen in love with it, and like I said, more than anything, the journey's been so fun, just kind of learning, how to be a broadcaster and analyst and stuff like that. And like I said, I still have a ton to learn, but it's been a lot of fun kind of learning on the journey.
I'm going to ask you about some of the stakes races we're going to see at Del Mar, including the Grade 2 San Clemente, which is set for 9:03 Eastern on Saturday afternoon. That would be 6:03 local time. We'll talk about that race in a minute. But coming back to what you were just talking about, Joe, and stepping away, freshening up, taking a break, and then potentially coming back, what's more taxing on a jockey when you get into that grind? Is it the mental part of it, or is it the physical part?
For me, definitely mental. Physically, it's crazy. I haven't put on a pound since I've stopped riding, which is nuts. Which is
I hate you.
I guess you could say.
I hate you because I guarantee you I put on more pounds since you stopped riding than you'll ever put on.
Yeah. But as far as like my routine, I still work out, 4 or 5 days a week. I'm fortunate. I've always been able to kind of eat what I want. Not that I eat In-N-Out every day, but I'm still able to kind of eat whatever I want. So as far as that, I could come back tomorrow and not have to worry about weight. But yeah, I would say for me anyway, the mental part is so hard because it's crazy with being a jockey or even a trainer for that aspect. If you're doing incredible, winning at 20-30%, on the flip side, you're losing at 70 or 80%. So you're constantly dealing with losing. And I'm one of those guys, I kind of hate losing more than I like winning, if that makes sense. I mean, I can't tell you how many days I've won 2 or 3 races and, I just wasn't satisfied at the end of the day because there was 1 or 2 races that I thought I should have won and it could have been 4 or 5, or, when you're second or third in the standings and, you miss leading rider by 3, 4, or 5, that you go back in your mind and it's like, God, what races that I messed up that I could have been leading rider, so you're constantly dealing with that day in and day out, year after year. And like I said, for me anyway, eventually it does catch up to you a little bit. And that's where that break really helped me mentally, just to kind of take a step back, freshen up, and move forward.
All right, let's talk about this meet coming up. It kicked off yesterday, Friday afternoon. Today, the feature race, the Grade 2 San Clemente Handicap. Joe, let's talk about the humans involved with this year's meet first. Who are some of the jockeys to keep an eye on, and who are some of the trainers that handicappers should be watching for?
Yeah, a lot of the same guys came back from last year. Juan Hernandez, who was leading rider, he's there. Umberto Rispoli, who obviously rides journalism, he's there. Antonio Fraser, they have a real good jockey colony here, kind of the same old faces. And then trainer-wise, I would say Bob Baffert's up there, Phil D'Amato, Mark Glad, Peter Miller, Doug O'Neill. So I would imagine all of those kind of top 10 from previous years are going to be in the standings as well.
The stake schedule loaded, too. It all leads up to the Pacific Classic on August 30th. But as I mentioned, the greatest stakes action gets underway here Saturday afternoon with the Grade 2 San Clemente. That's a fun race. 1 mile on the turf. What's the key to winning going a mile on the turf at Del Mar?
Del Mar's a tricky track because it's a pretty short stretch compared to all of the other tracks here in California. So saving ground is definitely imperative, especially on the turf here, and especially if you're drawn way outside, you really want to try and get over as quick as possible. I know the San Clemente is a 9-horse field, so not a crazy full field, but definitely if you're on the outside, you want to try and get over to save some ground, because with the shorter stretch, the turns are a lot tighter. So if you get caught 3, 4, sometimes 5 wide turning for home, that's pretty much a race right there.
Thought process for Phil D'Amato is the 8-5 morning line favorite in the San Clemente. Who do you like in there? Do you like thought process, or do you try to beat him?
I mean, it's hard
beat her.
To
Yeah, I said him. Her.
She's 2 for 3 at Del Mar. She loves it down there. Broke her maiden down there in the Breeders' Cup. She led the whole way. Only got beat 6 lengths, and I mean that's against the best fillies in the world. So she's going to be awfully tough to beat. But Phil has another one in there, Jungle Piece, that I think is pretty live. Has some speed. I don't think that the problem is they both kind of have the same tactics. So I don't know who's going to be in front or not, but I think it is a pretty live betting race in there. Jonathan Thomas has a 10-1 shot, I think, is live, and then Will Den for Jonathan Thomas too, another one on the rail, I think is pretty live. So if you think thought process can be beat, I think it's a really good betting race.
I'm glad you brought up Will Then, because Will Then is going to be ridden by Hall of Famer Mike Smith, one of the best to ever do it. And we talk about the jockey colony. Mike Smith doesn't ride very much anymore, but every time he gets a leg up, he's as dangerous as anybody.
Hey, and you know what, too, Mike? Last summer when I rode down here, I was working out with him. He has a trainer he goes to about 4 or 5 times a week. I mean, you would think fitness-wise he's 25. I mean, he works out like an absolute animal. He would go on a Stairmaster for 45 minutes before he worked out just to warm up. So, I mean, I think I don't know, he lies about his age. So I don't truly know how old he is, but, I mean, fitness-wise, he's still in absolute top shape and Hall of Fame riding. So believe me, if I was a trainer, I'd be the first one to try and put him on my horses.
Joe, what were some of the other greatest stakes races at Del Mar that you would always circle saying, okay, if I'm going to win any of these greatest stakes, you like to win them all, but these are the ones that I would love to win?
Oh, God, there's so many down here. Gosh, that's a tough one. I know the Clement L. Hirsch I've won a few times, the Grade 1 for older fillies and mares. That's always been a really good race for me. The Del Mar Mile, with obviously that you showed earlier, I've always liked that race. But a couple races I never did win that I really wanted to, I would say, is the Del Mar Futurity and the Pacific Classic. Those were 2 races that I definitely had a circle on, always wanted to win, rode in it numerous times, but unfortunately never got to win it. But those are definitely the 2 big races I would say I would want to.
Well, man, if you ever decide to come back to riding, let's circle those and let's see if we can get you to the winner's circle in those races, because you're a fantastic rider, doing a great job as an analyst on FanDuel TV. And, Joe, I can't thank you enough for spending a little time with me here this morning. It's always fun to catch up.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Mike, and any time. I'd love to come on.
All right, you got it, buddy. Enjoy the weekend.
You got it. Same to you guys. Take care.
All right, Joe Talamo. My goodness, 2007. Sitting down with him, and I still remember exactly where we were. We were set up at a location just around the paddock area. And Joe came, he was in the jocks room, and we tried to coordinate this. Hey, we got to talk to Joe Talamo. He's the top apprentice in the country. Man, nobody knew HRRN. We didn't know where this thing was going to take us, but we knew that we had to talk to Joe Talamo. You got to get this kid on. He's an interesting story. Local kid from Louisiana. And that first interview, he knocked it out of the park. And as you heard us talk about, that was one of the first interviews he ever did with anybody, because he was so new to everything. And we talked about that. And then he talked about learning the right way to do interviews. Man, it was so cool. And then to see where he is today, and one of the real good guys in the sport of thoroughbred racing, there's no doubt about it. He loves the sport, loves the game, loves his family. That's probably why he's taking a little more time away. And maybe one day we see Joe Talamo back in the saddle. That would be really cool. But if not, we have the enjoyment of watching him as part of that FanDuel TV team. Now, wonderful stuff. My thanks to Joe for being with me here this morning. When I come back, I'll take a